did that to feel handcuffed, but there you go. Now, my first question is, before you even worked on Doctor Who, so Robert, Steve, were you Doctor Who fans? And don't lie, because I'll know.
Tell you now.
I have my contacts.
I did used to watch it when I was young, yes, definitely. And what's your laughing at? I did, yes, yeah. But when I sort of, I must admit, by the time we worked on it, you'd grown away from it a bit. Because Susan and I had done a lot of other stuff for other programmes, so really by the time we were offered anything on Doctor Who, we'd done a lot of other things, and you know, your whole attitude is different. You're thinking, oh, actually, it's a good job, not, oh, good heavens, it's Doctor Who.
No, that's you.
Well, I don't like it.
That's just you.
No, but it's true, because otherwise I don't think you can, it's not a good idea to be terribly into it.
Fair enough.
Good.
What?
Yeah, I've been a fan, yeah. And it seemed like it was a nice idea to work on it at the time.
And like Steve, you would have done lots before it?
Yes, long bits before, yeah. I've probably been working probably only about 2 years or something when I started working on it.
Yes.
So you were a fan?
Yeah.
I worked for that, so it's
And she's been working for years and years before.
No, I hadn't. No, the only other sort of fantasy show that was Max Headroom with Robert, wasn't it?
Was I watching Wardrobe before?
Line of Witch and the Wardrobe, and Line of Witch, and then and the only reason we got Doctor Who is because Stan literally keep going skiing.
Which is my next question. Individually, how did you get into the show professionally? You started doing this.
Well, we used to do a lot of work for the effects department, mainly on sort of comedy and any unusual type of dark show. We get that, and I got friendly with a chap called who has not been easily enough, I don't think. Poor old Stan Mitchell, who still works. Only recently, I think, stopped working for Two Swords, and he still works for Two Swords. He sort of did all the sculpting jobs at the effects department at a certain period, sort of between I don't know, when Colin Baker, I think, first started, that sort of time upwards to about halfway through Sylvester's era. And he's an extremely talented individual, and I got friendly with him partly because I happened to walk into the effects department one day, and I noticed he was sculpting, which embarrassingly I knew instantly what it was Stanley was fiddling around with, was the new Silurians. And I went lumping up to him and said, oh, I know what they are. And he went, oh, more than I do.
Is that why you all smiled?
Well, yeah. Well, because I embarrassingly remember how the old ones used to be operated, which is basically, Stanley, do you realise those things are meant to talk? Their mouth moved and the hers was annoying moves. And I said, well, they just used to put basically tongue depressors stuck into the back of the mask and then shoved in the actors' mouths, which is not a terribly good idea in this day and age. You'd be full have one leg sticking out the back of your head, you soon know about it. But basically, we just got chatting about that, and he very kindly lent me the mould of that, because I was just filling it in and talking about the thing. And then from then on, he obviously must remember us because Stanley had a great love for going skiing on a skiing holiday. And during one of those holidays, he offered me, I don't know when we were last basically at that point in time, to fill in for him to finish off his job on the tech traps. There was a sequel. He wanted somebody he could trust. He's done the original sculpt of the hands and the head, and he got them all cast up, and he just wanted somebody who could paint them up and fur them up, and also make the little tiny miniature, them doing the little CSO sequence of these things hanging upside down in the cave. And he just wanted us to make up the little figures that went into there, and we did those, and it sort of went on from there, really.
And were you responsible for the tetrap tonguing?
No, that was an effects. That was an effects chat because it was radio control. I think it was
really long, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's all fun at parties. Yeah. And it just sort of built up from there, really. We'd either fill in for Stanley on holiday and then do work on Doctor Who, because he would mainly be doing all the sculpting work from that, and then when Stanley went away, we'd end up doing it. And then eventually Stanley left the department, and we sort of got more and more of it, really.
Also, you work sometimes with particular designers on other programs. Exactly. So a lot of things like, say, like Generation Game or something. There's a lot of work for this guy called Andy McLean. Well, then he was given Doctor Who to do, and it was during a period where they, for some reason, the same production team worked on two stories in a row. So he was given the little baby first.
Delta and the Baby.
Yeah, and then it was exactly the same team across the board who then worked on Dragonfire. So, you know, we were so fortunate from that point of view. And that was because we'd done a lot of work for him anyway.
And likenesses, because you did the likeness of the Bruce Willis guy.
Yeah.
Would you believe that? So can you do a likeness of Edward Peel because he doesn't fancy having a head cast done?
Yeah.
So Steve went in and we took those photographs of Edward screaming up against a brick wall in the visual effects padlock. And
just took him outside.
he's a very nice man.
Very nice.
Very pleasant chap. Very scary because he's quite tall. When he had that white makeup on, he was like a walking corpse. It was very good.
They were all those people who were sort of icy people. Remember them? Patricia.
I'm happy. Yes.
They were great.
German asphalt.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
did the helmet, but whilst I was working for someone else, I was working for another prop maker at the time, which was kind of my first involvement, doing things like the umbrella handle and those helmets. Was when I was actually working for the maker for Barnes National. So that was...
You're late! Time's it over.
That was my first involvement working as an assistant to someone else, as another freelance maker.
So, you were responsible for this?
Yeah.
White helmets?
Yeah, that's not a very good example. It should be cropped for region.
Yeah, they didn't have to think that there was spike and thing on little bits on the side. That's a duff one that was left behind.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
When you got the brief for the Candyman, was it all up to you, or were there drawings saying this is what we want?
There was a drawing, a very odd description in the script, but bore no relation to what we ended up with, which was something like, it's a man in a white coat with colourful glasses.
Oh, the original. Did you know that?
And then there was a very strange drawing that Dorkin Niragic in the makeup department took out, which was very silly. You might think what it ended up being was silly, but the original drawing was much sillier.
It was a big square thing, wasn't it? One of the boys I got was a big square thing.
Well, it didn't have the kind of robotic elements of it, it was just lots of big sweeps put together. And I tried to kind of get a bit of exoskeleton robotiness going on to make it a bit more plausible.
Less pretty batty.
It's good, right?
It is, everyone takes up more Candyman, but I'm staying up with Robert. It's extraordinarily well detailed.
If anybody asks what people know what you've done, and you say, well, it was in the later period or this, they'll say, oh, did you do the sweet character? No, didn't do that, never mind. But it's sort of, I wish I'd done it. No more sillier is it?
But you've done it differently.
But no, not if we were working with the same designer.
It's purely up to the designers. We just basically fill in the brief. I mean, you can have a bit of, like with the hemovores, you can have a bit of leeway.
Right.
Especially the designer trusts you, and they just basically say, here's a rough idea, just go, oh, that'd be lovely, go and get on with it.
Neatly moving on to the Destroyer.
Oh, here we go.
Was exclusively designed by you, or like Robert, did you have a brief to go by?
Not really, no. In fact, the description in the script comes from the mask. It was the other way around. We did
Originally, it was just a bloke with a bow and a hat, wasn't it?
well, it was one of these things you're supposed to transform from a normal man, into that. And so the idea was he was going to have hands and the nails would come through and all of this. And of course, as it went along, they're thinking, oh, it's going to cost a few quid, so forget that. And then they knew how much that was going to cost, so they thought, forget that, we'll just have that. But we did two maquettes. What happened was we had on two occasions, beginning of each sort of production year, we went and saw J&T, didn't we? He was very interested in the monster sort of characters. I think because he knew if they could really let it down, it was not much cost, so he was very interested in all of that. We took a couple of maquettes, and one of them was that, and it just happened to fit in with sort of traditional sort of devil or demon look they were looking for. They were looking for in that program. So we did design it, and then I think Ben Orovich said, "Oh, yes, that's how I always imagined it," and then wrote it as that in the script once the other man or the man in the suit had been in the room.
Then you're waiting to tell me
Does it do? No, it's better there. I like it. Does it do anything?
No, it doesn't now. It's not there.
It's 10 years old now. It's amazing. It's still in one piece, really. The idea is you get the guy who's wearing it, sweating it all the time. I mean, you can see the bits are dropping off it now. It doesn't really last very long, that stuff.
Heading us?
Not really. And the guy was very, I think he was smalling. Yeah, he was quite young, and so was the guy who was the agent in uniform. I think it's quite good actually when people play they were quite young and fit, because obviously they could put up with a lot more. I mean, they weren't. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to take it off in the middle of shooting, and he was good really. I mean, he had to be led around in chains, and he had the microphone that was stuck up its nose. It was just so bizarre. I mean, it was so cheery about the whole thing. When we went to a picnic back, there was still a bit of fiberglass in the skull, so digging in his head a bit. And this was during the run-through, the producer's run-through. It was all a bit intense for some reason. And he's going to me, I said, there's something sticking in my head here. And I was saying, well, just keep it quiet for now. We don't want any more trouble here. And he was just a good sport, wasn't he, that guy? He was very, I think he played it quite well. Considering it's an interesting voice he has, considering he was only been about mid-20s or something. So he's good, really.
What was your involvement in Gladiator?
I was one of about 4 armourers involved in doing all the armoured films, so I had a bit of Russell Crowe stuff to do, and most of the main guys that he fights and a load of background stuff.
So would you have been on set while we were doing all the action?
Only when they were shooting in down in Surrey or whatever it was.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't go to Morocco for that side of it, sadly. But it was about 4 months' work for the workshop, because everything we did with doubles on. And,
So that, that helmet does look incredibly heavy, but it's actually, thank you, I love the assistant. It's really destroyer.
Well, I love you, side of it.
It is very
But I mean, it looks metal, but
well, it's got aluminium in it, but it's fiberglass with an aluminium powder in it that you can polish up. So it looks like metal because it's got.
and what would the swords have been made of?
Swords would be a totally different department.
Right.
That would be.
Because my next question was any fatalities.
Yeah.
Well, except for the ring.
We didn't get hit, but...
Next mask, cane. How did you melt cane?
It was just wax, really. It was a wax skin over a skull. And our only instruction was that there wasn't to be anything that looked like blood. And so it could be as revolting as anything, but just no blood, because it was 7 o'clock in the evening. And but we also had this, basically it was one of these things that was done at 5 to 10, as you probably know, the program shot in the evening until about 10 o'clock. And so anything complicated and involved is left till 3 minutes to 10. And then so we had to sit around all day, race in, and then we then literally zoom the camera right in, put some hot air burners that you sort of get wallpaper off with, literally just outside the camera screen, sort of field of whatever. And we burnt it away, and there were like condoms in it inflating to sort of, the idea was to speed it all up as much as possible, so these things were pushing it away, and there was also extra liquid being pumped through because it was such thin wax, it would have just gone, so there's plenty of other stuff gunging as well. And the only sort of regret I have is that somebody in the gallery said, can you move it a little bit because it's just static. Well, of course, in all the excitement, you do that, but speed it up, it almost looks like it's animated because it's sort of doing this. And in retrospect, it would be better just to leave it doing nothing, solidly, a little bit you see.
So the beef was no blood, but you could do.
Well, within reason, I mean, you can't. It just so happened it was such a shocking, well, relatively shocking bit, but I think when you have blood, it's sort of slightly unusual, I suppose.
It would have
That's just
upset Mary Whitehouse, wouldn't it?
It upset people. We got that newspaper, Boo-Hoo Doctor Who.
There was, yeah.
A newspaper cutting saying that the what do you call it, the office when we ring through to complain to BBC. We've been flooded with complaints that they did all too
No, people, angry mum, lashed at the BBC.
For some extraordinary reason, they thought it was we connected it up with the King's Cross fire. Now, I don't even think it was anything around about that time was that going on, but there was his article in there, and it literally was, I remember that, Boo-Hoo Doctor Who, thinking, oh, good grief, have these people got no lives? And that was it. And I'm thinking, there's probably God knows what's going on 2 seconds later on another channel, and they're worried about some city man we know isn't real melting on the doorstep.
You all know the Mary Whitehouse digested it, don't you? Yeah, she digested it.
There goes the publicity vehicle for BBC.
Doctor's update of all this. It must have been that compilation, season 13, take for a setup. Right, one of the things I'm very conscious about, especially doing panels, is the interviewer monopolising. So I would like to open it up to you guys, and I want to see a shower of hands. I don't want you to be shy. There we go.
Yes, I've got the dinosaur head and a sort of acorn.
Yeah.
What are they from?
The dinosaurs from a BBC thing called The Human Face that John Cleese presented, although the whole segment wasn't used in the end. So there was a change of director halfway through the series and loads of stuff got cut from the shot. And the 8th thing was originally for a post office ad campaign, a Bigfoot character that walked through some woods. I think, yeah, winning a bike. Yeah, winning a bike in one version of it. But was later used in for the son of Tubbs and who you never really see but is a big shadowy presence. And
see him from behind, don't you, in the jury?
It's David!
So that was David.
They did do faces.
No,
It
just
was
going
a
to
top
get
hat, wasn't it? And just the hair and
Yeah,
and the battles.
but there's a whole kind of body padded costume thing that went with it that was worn for that as well.
Next question.
Have there been any commissions as if defeated you that you've just not been able to pull off?
Nicholas's head.
Which one?
The bust. Yeah, that took years, didn't it?
Yeah, but that was
That's called sheer laziness.
No, well, the idea is it's supposed to be the brig, not him. And it's a second bus that we're doing for 40 years, in 2 years, isn't it? So, and it's going to start with the brig. Well, then the guy I'm doing it with saying, well, it really needs to be the doctors. So we're doing them instead. And of course, Nick is now saying, well, where's my bus? So I did a portrait of him as he is for another thing, which he's now got.
In that little article.
Is it in that?
Yeah, you
Oh, right. Oh, lovely. But that, no, I mean, you mean on a sort of bigger, sort of commercial. Big, so sometimes you completely fail on things. I've done that a lot. You try to do something and it's good itself. So not very often, but sometimes you just think, try your best. Sometimes, say with those waxworks, you spend 6 months, it goes like from beginning to end, and then you finally see it, and you think, oh, it's not really what's up. It's hoping for all sorts of reasons come into it, colouring or whatever. Yeah, it's anything. It could be anything. You just think, oh no, it's such a disappointment at the end of it. And I would imagine it's the same as if you work on a film. Kind of really done what Robert's done. If you work on a film, and everybody's excited about it, and then it's an absolute dud. It's been a waste of time.
Yeah, like Prince Valiant was. We did lots of hours for, and I don't think anyone's seen it or heard.
Right, exactly. It goes straight to video or something. That's spectacular, but we do our best, don't we?
There's just things, a lot of things get cut, a lot of stuff gets shot when
Yeah.
Nick, back to
In the clip it showed some guys walking out to sea effectively. So the difficulties in having somebody in full open mask submerged underwater. So
Get them submerged is the hard bit when they're in latex. Not letting their heads whiz off their shoulders and bob up and down on the surface. In practice, that is usually top of the agenda.
Reading down to bricks or something.
You want Robert was actually there, weren't you? That's how it was.
Well, they were all stuntmen who had a lot of kind of underwater experience. I think that helped a lot.
It's usually people in wetsuits, and if it's not weighted up, they'll give you some bricks or something else, or some lead weight to hold on to. It's basically the old sea devil gag. I mean, anybody that goes underwater, if they've got anything latex, I mean, like, ironically enough, I've just done Trigger Happy TV the other week. And there's a Christmas special they're doing, and there's an example in point. They've got this 6-foot fish that they're going to have. God knows if it'll reach the screen. But they wanted to get submerged. Now, in the end, it ended up being fiberglass because with half it cut away. But they wanted it under the water to pull it out in front of these anglers. It's the old gag. Look what I've caught. There's this 6-foot bloody great thing they're dragging out. And of course, this thing's in foam. And of course, the first thing that foam gets hold of is why it's called foam. Is because it's latex mixed with air. And so you've got a thing that's God knows how long, and then even the couple of divers they had just can barely get it under the water. So anything to do with latex has got air in it, or like imagine getting like a bowler hat, pulling it down your head, and then trying to get your head under water. You're going to feel resistance going on. The hat's going to want to come off. So that's the main thing, is as long as you try and get things saturated or weighted down, and you haven't got anybody like this professional diver is fine, but you couldn't really expect anybody just to go and smash around in the water, especially when you've got usually limited view, eyesight with a mask. And if they start getting claustrophobic or panicking, they may end up just floating on the surface being dead. Otherwise it's fine.
Like Robert and Gladiator, were you guys there?
I hope he wasn't floating on the surface being dead.
Were you guys there when they were doing Fenwick, when the hemophores came out?
No, Robert was at Longworth.
My bit was the body of the ancient one, so Stephen did the head, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I ended up being there for that.
Kiss up and wrong.
Yeah.
I think we were doing that. We sort of went
Just sticky tape and glue.
without, we just,
He couldn't be bothered.
we did go down one afternoon. It was such a weird thing. It was snowing one day, sunny the next, and it's such a strange, when you see it.
Well, they wrote that into the script, didn't they? They wanted the lines to explain the weird
so much
weather.
rain effects on it, just trying to make it all even up. It's funny, isn't it?
Next question.
Is there anything left that you would actually really want to have a go at in terms, of new films or whatever that perhaps you might not get the opportunity to do?
Star Wars?
No. I hate Star Wars. I really don't.
Star Wars?
This is going to sound terribly tragic, this is a show with my fan base is Yes! I would like to do work on the new Watcher spin-off that the BBC are meant to be doing with Buffy, the Buffy spin-off.
Oh, Ripper.
Well, the BBC don't want it called Ripper, they want it called the Watcher, which I know Joss Whedon says he's not terribly happy about, but he says it will do if it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, what he was and what he wasn't then, that was the ironic part of it. I'd love to do something on that, being a big Buffy fan, because I very much doubt whether I sort of hide myself in a large packing crate to make up your mind. Get very far. So that's what I'd love. I mean, I strongly doubt, because by the sound of it, the production of this is going to be, it does come off, the BBC seems to be. What a surprise, everybody! Painfully slow after arranging this spin-off. It's going to be an American setup, and they'll bring their own technicians. And I think to begin with, the first episode is going to be shot over there anyway, and then transferred to here. That's if it even gets going, because the BBC, as I say, aren't terribly quick on picking up any kind of idea. No, I think Whedon's also starting to realise he's getting a bit sort of, working with bureaucracy over here. So there you go.
2 more questions. Coming on. Sylvester.
Have any of you been involved with or would like to be involved with the new TARDIS scandal BBC?
It's the visual effects.
Yeah, what Michael's doing.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a job.
I bet it's not getting paid much for it. I don't know really. I know Mike like sort of gets into all that modelling sort of thing. We're not really modelling sort of people, aren't they?
It is sort of, best of my knowledge, what's the gag with that thing? Is it like living in space? It's just, you just click onto it and you see where it is at the moment, isn't it? It's meant to be, there's this thing.
Yeah, 2,000 serialised.
That's it, yeah.
There's shots of...
Can you click on different things that interact with you, or are you just static?
Well, not marked.
Oh, fair enough. But we know the chap that's doing all of that, the actual physical, effects side of Mike Tucker, his name is officially because there's a lot been lots of articles about at the moment. I think they're making it, or should be made already interactive, where you can click on things inside the console.
Are there any sort of monstery things in it, or is it just sort of...
Not yet, but I've heard there were plans today, so I was wondering if perhaps any of you get any wrong.
No, it would be Michael. Michael would be fencing off the door on that one, and I think he'll be doing all that himself. I think he's...
You'd rather have done all of this, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, because it was a bit unfair at the time, I suppose, in some respects. A lot of the stuff I think Michael would have liked to have done when it got pushed outside. So I think this is his chance to recoup his losses on that one.
Some of the stills look very impressive. I saw one with the TARDIS on some sort of sandy planet.
Yeah.
The cyber helmet that looks sort of corroded. It looks...
Yeah. But he's the one to do, because with Michael, obviously Michael's grounding, what with his Red Wolf and all this business, the years he's done all of that, is that, because I'm not what I call hard edge model maker, even though I used to do that kind of thing years ago. I'm not really into that. Michael is your man for that sort of thing, really.
On pain of death, Promise Davies. One more question, and then we'll have a break.
In a story like The Leisure Hive, reptilians with fake human bodies, but the human bodies and the fake bodies were the same size. How do you resolve that problem?
Quick editing.
No, I'm not quite sure why they have to make them all that different. I think you're automatically setting yourself up a problem, aren't you? If you're saying that the monster is bigger than the person. Yeah. I think I'd almost, if I knew something like that was going to happen, I don't think I'd even entertain the idea of making the monster twice the size, because immediately you're thinking, well, unless you see it somehow grow or expand or something. I know they've done it, but in all sorts of times people have whipped off masks and things as soon as we have big heads.
But that looked quite good though, I have to say.
Pull off a rattle by that one. It does a little,
it does a little
jig, doesn't it? It settles down at that point.
Did you watch The Leisure Hive?
No.
Why are you asking about The Leisure Hive? You didn't think saying how would mine was. Oh, and CGI.
Well, you probably would now, I suspect. CGI is
How many multitude sins?
Well, it might, but then I think you'd have to rethink the whole way the whole thing would be recorded and everything. The whole framework would have to be different because, it's not, when you took the technology available now with that sort of budget, well, you could do bits, but you couldn't replace, it's easier to have someone dressed up as something, and you've got the performance.
Talk about cutting. Well, that was a fascinating panel. Thank you very much for Stephen, Robert and Sue, the Monster Maker.